morning. Welcome out to the Market Watch Group Weekly Market Prep. I am Scott, and I will be your host. Oh, it's a good group today. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, this is a good one. I'm very curious to see what we end up with for our numbers today. Quickly, some housekeeping matters. As always, we're not brokers, not advisors, no advice, no recommendations, and this is for education, illustrative purposes only. What are we going to do today? We are going to review our market posture and rescore this week to see what's good, what's changed, what's concerning, what are we keeping our eye on, etc., etc. We're going to look at the economic calendar. We do have actually some pretty impactful data being released this week, so I think we do want to make sure that we're mindful of that. So I'm just going to get set up so that I can see my trading platform and your comments. Bite your tongue. Oh, so hot for so long. I'm melting. I need another season to come. Sector searching. Yeah, I don't know. Let's be thinking. Maybe let's try to get to the watch list a little bit early today. I don't have anything that stands out right now as far as a potential deficiency from a sector standpoint. Feel like the core watch list that contains all the big ones, that's strong as can be. So I think we'll just start maybe picking sectors. So like when we review today, let's just maybe think of what sector do we think is showing strength, but maybe feels a bit underrepresented on our watch list. Sector searching. We'll do some watch list maintenance. Maintenance means adding now as our posture. So one of the ways that you can consider watch list maintenance is the direction of the market posture. If your market posture is in decline, the market's transitioning, and so it's in a spin cycle. We don't know what's going to come out of that spin cycle. So as it's going into the spin cycle, the peripherals of our watch list, the things that got added late. We have a LIFO accounting policy. Last in, first out. Right? That's the policy. The core list, their place at the table is well established. It's the peripherals on the outer edges where it's like, all right, let's get some things that are showing momentum, right? And then let's add them. And then if they get shook up, then when they get shook and they get released, if they come back on the second time, great. Welcome back. So right now, as our posture is increasing, watch list maintenance means buff it up, get it in there and flesh that thing out so that you have a broad list of opportunities across all growth sectors. I keep saying it and then I keep not fixing it. Early week, I'm going to fix it right now as I'm speaking to you. I thought it was so clever at first. I'm like, oh, it's our shopping list. But I'm like, oh, that promotes over trading and I just don't want to do that. Let's hit save this time and turn it back on and flip this thing around. There we go. Early week opportunity list. We look for opportunities to develop, to set up, to give signals. We don't force trades. Trading plan section of the week. We're now on trading rules. I hope that you spent some time on your market posture section. That's just a nice tie-in where you're just mapping the relationship between how you perceive the market and how that perception translates into your overall trading objectives. Are you your strategies, your time frames, your risk, right? So all these different elements that are impacted by that. So it's nice to just draft that out. Voice keeps cutting out. Ooh, okay. Let's see what we can do to it. Thank you for flagging that. Let me see. Better now? Hear you fine. Okay. Okay. If it happens again, ping me. Thanks, PJ, for letting me know. That was pretty fast. All right, let's go. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. There we go. Let's start here. Let's start here. Market posture log. So, last week we improved by 1.5 points, which is funny because we the last drop was 1.5 points. Then we had a 1/4 point drop, and then 1.5 points back. I don't know. Do we get a 1.5 points? Do we get a point? I think I was leaning towards 1 point. I think it's going to improve. Yeah, let's go see. Long-term trend. Let's get to the SPY. Let's try again. Yeah, last week we, again, highlighting the current trend. This is the bottom line right here. You can kind of see as it goes up. Last week we got back into it. Does this week support that? Yeah, we advanced further. I mean, it looks pretty steep. We've got a ways to go. And if we don't, if this thing pauses and then pulls back, remember that, let me see if I can get my drawing tool here. We now have a low that we established around 510, I believe was the lowest we got to, 512. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's not going to let me draw again. I don't know what's going on. It's so weird. All right. Well, I'm going to just put it here. This is the new low. We come up. If we drop back down to 540 and then turn, so it's going to be interesting. If we drop out of this and it falls again, I don't know. For now, we're in it. I'm going to leave my score the way it is. I guess we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, for me, stays the same, 1.5. Did anybody change theirs? Let's just start with that. Is there a conversation that we need to have about our long-term score that is concerning? Let me know if you think so. Short-term trend. Short-term trend. Let's see. Let's go. We went from a 0.5 to a 1. So we gave it 2 credits, 2 marks for last week. And this is Friday, Thursday. So we got to here. And now what? We got another high. I think I'm going to give it another 1/4 point. All the way back up, almost to the old high. Almost. Not quite, but almost. So yeah, 1/4 point. Now this one could be a little harder. So Sandy, let's pause. Let's talk about it now that we've talked about both long and short. Right? Both long and short. So I'm going to go up 1/4 point. Where's everybody else at? I'm at a 275. It's pretty good. We got some good underlying strength, and the short term is trying to regain regain some prior momentum, find some type of a short-term trend. That's how I'm seeing it. We don't know yet. We haven't seen the sellers. We don't know where they are. If the sellers drop and it's a higher low, then we go to a 1.5. The highest, how high did we get? 1.75. That's as high as we were this time. Back in December, in this one we got to 2. That was back in February. That was when we were up a little stronger still. So we're at a 1.25. There's still room for some more strength, right? There's room for it. And so let's talk about what it would take to get there. So for me, the next time it pulls back, it'll be a higher low. That's going to give it 1/4 point. Then I'm at a 1.5, right? Okay. And then if we take out this high, or at this point, hopefully what happens is we start to move into a trend from here. So, for example, if we pull back to 550 and then bounce and then we go up to the next higher high, then we're going to start to connect the dots and say, what's our line, right? What's the amp or the angle of our line? I think we're in a good place. Steven said he's at 1.5. So he's at a 3. We're very close, 1/4 point apart. Is anybody further than that? So let me ask this. Does anybody have a net trend score? This is long and short, higher than 3 or lower than 2? Which means you're either more bullish or you're like, something about what you are seeing is like, no, I'm not seeing it there. Bob says no. Now, the purpose of me asking this question is not to find conformity. That's not what it is. So if there's ever a time where you are outside, you should be like, yeah, let me say why. Because either A, you want to talk it through to see if there's something in your argument or in your position. But yeah, we're not trying to all see things the same way. We're trying to have good, solid discussions about what we see and what it means. What do we see? What does it mean? And then we don't have to think or feel or believe or any of that other stuff. See it, analyze its implications. Okay, so yeah, I feel good about that score. I mean, we've basically given the buyers great recognition. Now, remember what I said about volume. It made this great bullish move, and it didn't one time. Back here it did. We had above average volume on this day. Everything after that has been below average volume. So some people will be like, "Oh, I mean, it's not real. It's a fake out." Wrong. That's just, we don't need, if there's no sellers on the other side, you don't need over 100% volume. We just, and that's where I think our recognition of the underlying trend that never broke, particularly the long term, is what sustained us, right? It was our unwillingness to be like, oh, we're going to go to a negative trend score on the short term. Certainly you could come in and say, hey, an argument could be made. That's not, no, you could make it, and then we would refute it. We would give specific reasoning why, and then we would demonstrate coming out of these corrections why we did what we did. We need to be fast coming out of these things. We need to be willing to trade in these things, as you noticed. And as we look backwards at this one, more than a few of us, myself included, the accountability we're holding ourselves to is, something held you back more than you should have. You hesitated, you should, right? Like, was it, and I know for me, like I say it all the time, those one day consolidations sometimes, I just like that textbook flag. Oh, give me that. But the market doesn't give us what we want. Scott, don't be silly. You're a blade of grass. The blade of grass asks the lawnmower for nothing. Yes, Press, what a great summary. That's exactly why. That's why a tie goes to the buyers with respect to volume scoring, right? The low volume can absolutely just sort of become a pervasive quality in a bullish market, and it can't be something that we're saying, oh, we're poo-pooing it or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. I feel like we have good alignment. That's what we're looking for, not conformity. Alignment, very different, those two. Alignment where we talk through it and someone brings up a concern. The rest of us are like, yeah, okay, that's valid. Maybe we should be aware of that. The one thing we never want to be as a group is complacent, right? You know what happens to a clump of complacent grass? Lawnmower comes right through. Okay, volume it is. Let's go there. Now, what am I doing? I'm throwing out this last one because it's so stale sitting out here. We don't even have context. Look at the moving average. Here's what I mean. Look at the moving average. It was almost going sideways. We don't have was it going up or down? We don't have context. It's the last day. It disappears tomorrow. When the market, which lines are current? With regard to the trend lines, you mean? Or which? Sorry, Bob, I didn't see when that came through, so I might have missed that. Give me some context to that question, and I'll try to answer it. So no volume here. I'm going to throw this out. This is actually an above average volume day right here. So if I'm throwing this one out, do I have to throw this one out? Let's decide as a group. If I throw out the last day, do I also throw out the second to last day? I kind of feel like we do have to do that. Short-term SPY. Oh, there are no current lines. They're all current and they're non-current. Let me show you none. Let me go back and then we'll come back here. Be thinking about what I said. I've got a couple people talk. And the third day, Michael says, thank you, Michael. That's a good call out. I think I have to agree. Yeah, all of them are current and none of them are current, which means we're not quite sure yet. You know? Throwing anything out. Oh, that's not, remember, Press, that's not changing the rules in regards to, we've always given that last week a bit of a discretionary, it's stale, right? It's stale because it's too far to the left. So there's times where we're like, you know what, we're not going to count that. If you want to be like, hey, I hold fast, that's fine. I always give that left week, right, that week all the way to the left of the chart where I'm saying it's a little bit stale, right? Where if there's no above average volume days there, we don't have to think about it. If there are days there, what we look at is how do we want to account for those? That's why we're not just blindly doing it. We're saying, hey, we've got a big one here and a big one here. I mean, they cancel each other out. So maybe that handles itself. We haven't even looked at that yet. Before we do, let's address colors. Ooh, that's a good idea, Bob. Can I use different colors? So that's a good idea. Let's put some colors in here. I'm gonna do a couple of things. I'm gonna get rid of the 50 or the 200 day because unless we get back below the 100, I don't think we need it. So let's clean some things up in here. Okay, so that's one thing. Now I'm gonna go back. Bob's idea was a good one. Some colors would be nice. You can see this one's red, so that's an old set of trend lines. Let's change properties. Let's make this old one here light purple. And its compatriot will also, which one is it? 15? I don't know. You'll also be purple. Oh, there's 2 in there. Delete you. Okay. All right. That's what we will do. Let me do one more because this will at least give us our old. And it's good for you to learn how to do it on charts. This will give us at least our old long-term trend lines. Right? So I'm going to make, this is one more. This is the one that we're scoring now. Let's make this green. And then I'm going to grab you and make you green. So PJ, you'll notice that it's only on, the SPY that I put and leave lines up. Only SPY. I have old lines. I mean, I could go back and delete some of these old things here. I could go back. These will never probably run into again, right? But why bother? I like to have them as representations of, right? If I break back below this line, what's the next line down? This one. So if I ended up bouncing off of this, I remember that I scored this as that's a 1, right? I can extend these two. Let me extend to the right and extend to the right. So I like to have it so that I just see visual representations. It shouldn't create confusion as far as like, none of that means I think it's going there, stopping there. It means that if it does stop there, then I can make sense of it and not have to go redraw lines. But I'm not using these lines predictively to say, it's going to hit that green line and bounce. I don't think that. They're there as reference marks, right? They're to the side of the trail, little letting us know what it means to the side of the trail, but it doesn't mean we're turning left or right. It just means it's there. Does that make sense? Because I want reference points that help me to be like, okay, this is important now that it's held. But nothing's held. Right now, we're just sort of like scoring if it makes a higher high or a higher low because we don't have a trend to speak of. One thing I'm not going to do is try to score this little mark and say that's our short-term trend. It's not. That's not a short-term trend. If I scored that, that would be a 3. None of us think we should all of a sudden raise our short-term score to a 3. Because then if all of a sudden it comes down, it goes from a 3 to a -2, and you're like, your posture is just whipping you around like a rag doll. We're not interested in that. We're interested in having a stable understanding of market conditions, because as much as we convince ourselves things are just like all over the place, it's driven by institutions and they're slow. Right? They're slow. We had signs that popped up before this thing did this, and this wasn't even that bad. If it gets bearish, I promise you, we're going to see everything that we saw and more as it moves into that type of a market. So, okay, let's go on. I think that was a great discussion. I think it was a great idea to add those colors so we could at least have our long-term lines be colorful, and then you can see now we have black lines. These are our short-term. So what we're looking at is this thing going to move back into this old channel. That's the last one that we have drawn right there. It's in it, but it doesn't look like it's in it enough to hold. So we're not going to score it yet, because if it drops back down, it doesn't make sense for us to have scored that, because it wasn't wrong if it breaks below that, right? Like if it breaks down from here, there's nothing negative about that. Of course it's going to pull back. I could, yes. Do you think we want the thickness? It could start to get, I mean, I get that it can start to, get a little funky on the charts. So just, you guys let me know. I'm going to leave it like this for a little bit. I should probably actually change the moving average though, because let's go to that one's a little too close. And let's make this one yellow because it's going to leave soon. Okay, how's that? Oh, most recent? Yeah, that might work. The one that we're in. Okay, let's go do volume now that you've all had a chance to think about how you're going to score it. So what we're saying is this back end here. This back end, and you know what's funny? It takes care of itself. There's 2 days, they cancel themselves. One down, one up. They just cancel themselves. Great, let's just throw them out. It wouldn't make a huge difference. Oh, actually, maybe it would. Maybe it would to the ratio. A 1-to-1 ratio is actually slightly positive, interestingly, because it's a tie. But I'm saying it's stale. We're throwing it out. That's what I'm doing. If you don't, then let's compare scores when we're done. How about that? So now I have +1 here. My drawing's not working on this for some reason. It's so weird. It doesn't like. Let me actually see if I can reset this. Maybe it'll work. Charts. Detach. Open. Close. Scale. Maybe it'll let me draw now. Boom. Oh, let's go back in. 1 month daily. Why do I have so much of a gap? Okay, here we go. So, yes, these two are out. This is a buyers, sellers, 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 buyers. Sellers. Okay. What does that give me? That gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 to 2. 4 to 2 as opposed to 5 to 3. I mean, it really didn't change much, right? I don't think I would score either of these differently. So I have a 4 to 2. Thoughts? How do you have it? How are you scoring it? Our last score was a minus 0.25. I think I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, Sandy just popped up the same. If it was 3 to 2, then I would go. I'm lost why you didn't score to the right. Remember, we're only scoring if it's above average volume, Bob. Only above average volume days. Days with conviction. So, and it's you'll notice this one here. No, which one? This one right here. 48 million to 53. Our rule is 5% above average. 5%. So you'll notice we're really just scoring this patch right here for the most part. Nothing else has popped up since then. if I was 3-2, I would go to a 0. If I'm 2-2, I'm going to go to a 0.25. Remember, tie goes to the buyers. So if between this week and next week, actually it won't, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next week, when we read this, it'll be very interesting because all of this drops off. We'll start right here on this big red day. Why did I score the largest volume to the sellers? Oh, this one here. Ah, yes. Because on this day, the market was down 3%. That was the worst day of all the selling days. Now, at one point, it was down 4%. On the open, down 4. We regained 1, but we lost 3. Right? When we measure volume, we're less concerned with intraday, which is the color of the candle. What we are looking at is from here to here, down 3%. From here to here, right? From here to here. Those are close to close. Close to close. That's the net assessment. Okay. Miguel, I'm not sure what you have on your volume. Is it color? Do you feel like you got it solved now? Let me know if not. Okay, so volume, I'm leaving it. Volume is staying the same. That was one I thought maybe could pop up a little bit. So maybe now, whoops, let's go back to you. And let's go look at our major market analysis. Our score as of now is a 0.5. What are we looking for to get us to a 0.75? We would need to see signs that the small caps are moving more into favor. Okay, what do we have here? NASDAQ on top. Here's the S&P. Now look at this. What do we see? Look at that. Look at that jump. It jumped past. And the Dow is down here now. Now we go down to 133. What do we see? This is where, if you don't have this relative strength comparison, it's hard to recognize that the Russell shot so much faster, right? They were here together, the Dow. The Dow and the NASDAQ, or excuse me, yeah, the NASDAQ too. The NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, they were all here. Boom, what happened? It's looking like it's trying to push for an extra quarter of a point. The argument is being made. And now has been satisfied. I think that's the quarter of a point we were looking for, right? Look at the 3 different time frames, and what are we seeing here? We're seeing that push into small caps at the fastest rate. That's that appetite for risk. Okay. I'm gonna add the quarter. I'm going to a 0.75. Now, it's probably going to stay there for a little while. It's going to take a little bit more than just the initial signs of strength. It's going to have to hold it before it can get beyond that. Those of you who have scored already, yeah, let's go look at the 22. Those of you who have scored yours already, or those who just watched, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts. Now on the 22-day, it's a little bit of a different picture here. Remember, the 22-day only impacts scoring. Only impacts scoring if we're uncertain at the 66. This is like, hey, let's take a peek ahead and see, but less stability. And so if we were to cut this down even to 15 days, you can see already from the bottom of this last move, there's that convincing sign that the Russell's making that second place push. David agrees. Steven's quiet today. Steven, are you still here? Do you, there you go. Bumped my score to 0.25. Yeah. So are you at a 0.75 or where are you now on your net score? Out of curiosity. Yeah, I think we all feel pretty good about what we're seeing there. The Russell clearly received increased money flow relative to the Dow. Okay. Sectors. Sectors has been the most interesting part, right? So as you look at our score, volume and sectors are the most pervasive holdouts, right? Those are the holdouts. Let's go see. It just seems as we watch that we're moving that way. Let me refresh real quickly here and make sure that I'm pushed all the way. Okay, who's on top? Financials. Looking strong. Second, communication services. Third, technology. Who's close? Industrials. That's the big uns up there. Big four right now. Who's missing from our normal growth suspects? Discretionary. They've made a big push recently. You can see considerably more than energy on this last little push. But there's still some questions. Then you have your utilities. You have your healthcare. You have your materials and your staples. So that starts with a pretty strong growth orientation. Now we go down to 133. This is where it got a little funky and a little weird. All of a sudden you look and you have utilities and you're like, what the hell, utilities? Okay. And there was some defensiveness. They actually first got back this way. And that's when we're like, hey, what the hell is going on? We don't love this at all. Remember, this was before the correction, right? Now we're still like, what? What do we think about this? It's flagging concerns, without a doubt. That's one of the reasons why sector rotation has been a 0 and a negative score. Now we go down to 66 days and it's just a mess. It's just a sector mess right now. What do I have? Healthcare leading. What? Communication services. Staples. Technology shooting back into this. Financials is in the mix. It feels like the start of a marathon right here. Like, it's just a mess and crazy. I see nothing that indicates, well, okay, actually, maybe that's not true. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm thinking like, I keep expecting to see, let's go to 22. Even on 22, you'll notice utilities is on top, communication services is second. Staples is third, technology is like this crazy sector battle right now. We've got on the 22 day, we have 2 growth, 2 defensive at the top. This is not contributing. If you found this difficult, then you actually didn't find it difficult. That just means that there's no score. Difficult means I couldn't clearly identify any kind of consistent money flow. Yeah. I'm leaving it at 0. Did anybody change theirs? That's one interesting spot, right? Okay. Good enough. Good enough. We're now... So here's the deal, though. I mean, I still know I see momentum in these different sectors on the short term. Just because I don't have it on my rotation yet, that just means that there hasn't been enough to flag these triggers that we look for. No, I'm still definitely seeing it the same way. All right, let's go down to VIX. Let's go vol. I may not actually have. Let's maybe kick searching to Tuesday. That'll give us more time for it. Let's talk about the VIX. There's some good chats about what we do and why we do it. If anyone is uncertain about any of it, let me know. Let's go look at the VIX. I'm expecting at least 1/4 of a point here. So this is where we were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is where we were. This is where we were. So I'm getting 1/4 of a point for this. Why? Because we took out this low over here. That's a lower low, right? I'm taking that out. The question is, are we giving this for a lower high? David says it didn't hit. What I said was I need it below 1575 and it finished at 1586. So it was close. It was close. It did close below the body, but it didn't close below the entire thing. And that's where I tend to start with the whole candle. But certainly there's times where I'm like, but it closed below the body. Should I take that as significant? This is where it's tough, right? Because I know we would all prefer to have black and white rules where it's like, but then you get to these times where it's like a penny. A penny. A penny. Do you say yes or no? And I feel like that's where there's some gray area of ambiguity that allows you discretion. And I get it. People are like, discretion is the enemy of repeatability. And I disagree. It's allowing yourself that last little bit. I mean, it's the last little bit, right? It's 95% of the analysis is done, and now we're here saying, well, do we give this? I don't know. I'm definitely going at least here. I'm thinking of even giving it a second 1/2 of a point. From last week, we did a 1/2 a point jump. Stephen, you held your steady. What was it you didn't like about this week? Out of curiosity, that would have had you. What would you have needed to have seen now that it dropped all the way back to the teens, and then a lower high below 20? What would you want to see to start getting more bullish? Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to leave it. 425. I think this one could have. I'm going to highlight this to talk about next week. Nope, I want that black still. But I want it yellow to talk about. Next week, we're going to discuss that one to see, because if I get a good week again, I might give it Even if this week would only normally give a quarter of a point, if it's good, I might give it the half that I was thinking of giving it this time. Just going to carry that over a little bit, right? 425. Okay, so we got this was a point and a half drop. This was a point and a quarter drop. We got a point and a half back. Then we got 0.75 back. Is that to be expected? Yes. We got a V just now, and it's like, don't get greedy. We don't get those that often. That's why it's strong. Usually what happens is we walk upstairs and fall out windows. Overall, you're a 475. Okay. Okay, so a little bit more bullish than me. Okay. Anybody higher than a 475? Anybody higher than a 475? How about to the low end? Is anybody lower than a 4? Lower than a 4. Is anyone in the 3s? Out of curiosity. Is anyone a little more conservative? Which is fine. Again, right? We're not... This is just... I like to have a range. In fact, one of the things I've thought about doing, what do you guys think about this? What if I figured out a way to create a Google Sheet that would allow you to go in. It would be anonymous, but it would allow you to go in each week and just put your score in the column for that week. And then for each week, I could have the range and the mean score for our group. So we could be like, okay, the group is anywhere from 3.25 to 4.75. So you could be like, ooh, it's pretty wide right now, right? Versus, that'd be pretty cool, right? I gotta write it down because you guys know I've thought of like at least 6 really cool ideas that I then forgot, right? I forgot, and then they just fell. They were genius ideas. I remember them being just absolutely brilliant ideas. I just couldn't remember them afterwards, and we're at a worse place because of that. I don't want that to happen again. Would there be a time that it would need to be submitted? I would probably say, maybe like within 2 hours of us wrapping the meeting up, right? You just go in, pop a score in. I'd have to figure out how to make it work, but I think I could do it with a Google Sheet. And just, you have the ability to go in and put a score in. We had set up a way to record our ideas. Well, now you can go into the suggestion box, right? Weekly scoring summary. That's what I'm calling it. Weekly scoring summary. Okay. Very cool. Let's get to the watch list before we run out of time. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Lending your expertise. Let's go look at the watch list. Things seem better when you have like a swanky theme song. That just feels like a general principle of life. In fact, that's what everyone's like, AI does writing for you, pictures. I need an AI app that writes swanky theme songs on demand. That is an AI we could all get behind. Because I want a swanky theme song for the Market Watch group that plays. I have theme music. Let me see if I can play it for you. Is that working? You guys hear that? It's not playing for you? It's playing for you. Terrible. I need to figure out a way to play swanky music. Let's get to our watch list, you guys. I'm getting distracted. We're losing focus here. Slope of support and resistance. Support and resistance is tough. I don't always give it a slope. Okay, let's get to the top and work our way down. Apple. We're in the same place, right? Are we going to get this consolidation? Are we going to get a couple of days of selling to start the week and then we can bounce from there? I don't know. What do we have coming out this week? Let's take a quick peek. I'm probably going to steal 5 minutes of your time. I apologize. I'll go through the watch list fast. This week, pretty minimal durable goods. No one cares. Consumer confidence on Tuesday. They're expecting it to stay at or above 100. That's good. Jobless claims, 230. Couple of Fed speeches. We don't care. GDP, 2.8. PCE. I think that's the big one. Income, spending, and PCE on Friday. I don't know. So maybe we pause, pull back a little, then it starts to turn, and then we get some good Friday news and we smash higher. I could live with that. That's what I'm hoping for. Amazon looks great. That's a nice looking setup. I don't care that it's under the 50. It's fine for me. I should put the 100 back on here though. I'll do that later. AXP, the stochastics has only pinched. Price action turned. So remember that if you trade a flag and you think flag, you're not going to wait for the stochastics to trade a flag. Financials looks like they're ready to go. In fact, if you're looking to trade these on Monday, and maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do one that's more of a continuation. I mean, if this thing catches, it can go, right? It can look at where we are. We're at the exact same place we were here. Exact same place. Financials, I think, is where... Did anyone put any financials trades on Friday? BLDR, smashed higher. Citigroup starting to move. Caterpillar. Add Caterpillar to the list. BAC, love it. Caterpillar, I think, looks good. Overbought on Colgate Palmolive. I'm waiting for more on CMG. I want to see it break the 50 now that it has this bad news it's dealing with. Costco waiting for the pullback. Carvana, nothing there. No. Fastenal, Miguel, still in, still grinding. Just keeps on keeping on. GBTC, fighting, yes. Fighting the good fight. I think I can. GLD. Yeah, gold is still staying pretty strong, right? GM is just a monster on its V recovery. Look at that thing. It's hard to find a way to trade it though. Google. I think Google is potential. If you saw this, this is kind of your neckline. If this is an inverted head and shoulders. Boom. It's kind of a funky pattern though. I don't know. I'd go like that. I get that you have a second little weird thing there. A Siamese twins, head and shoulders. Home Depot strong. IWM strong. JP Morgan breaking out. It's hard, right? Just not giving us things to get into without giving us some pullbacks. Mickey Donald's needs to pull back. Meta. Okay, so I think this is a hiccup, and I'm still good with trading this out of the blip. 3M, new high. Morgan Stanley, viable. Microsoft looks close. That's a great one. I'd love to trade Microsoft. That's a one I'd like to trade. Micron looks good. Very similar. Netflix, flagging. Nvidia has earnings, so be careful there. PLTR, beautiful. We've got some good setups for this week. All they have to do is turn. We get the turn, we have signals. Speaking of signals, write your rules this week. Section 3. That's my plug. TSM, put it on the list. Almost ready to signal. I love TSM. Bouncing off that 50, amazing. Look at the last time it corrected, popped back above the 50, and then bounced off of it. Look what it started. Look what it started. Now what do we have? We corrected, bounced back up above the 50, pulled back. We've got some good looking patterns in front of us here. We've got some setups. I would expect multiple trades this week. We should expect to trade. Look at the dollar, real low, easing pressures on the market. Walmart up at new highs, waiting for the pullback, but look at that beast right back in that upper echelon of its trend. Okay, woo! Look at us. Got through the watch list. We got through the posture. Let's get our trading plan. I don't have one blank. That's fine. Maybe I'll just use this all the time now. Is this the right one? Trading systems. Which one is which? I want the other one. This one. This one has more detail. Okay. Trading systems. These are your rules. One full set of rules per system. What does that mean? Well, if you get alerts from a different service, that's a system. You need to write out all the rules, because when you do that, what that helps you do is realize, what do they give me? What do I need to come up with? What do they give me? What do I need to come up with? They don't give you everything, I promise. For your own trades, this is what you're coming up with, right? System name. Well, you might have bounces, you might have breakouts, you might have, right? There's different types of things. What's triggering the trade? So, markets, what to buy or sell. What am I doing? Equity and options market of the U.S. stock market, focusing on index sector ETFs, as well as regular stocks. I will rely on my market forecasts. I will look to capitalize on high implied volatility, blah, 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 right? Okay. Time frames. What time frames do you use to make decisions? Daily, with hourly and 2 hours for intraday signals. Position sizing on this system, 1 to 2%. Entries, looking for bounce trade signals, set up and target. I'm not sure what I meant by that. That's just literally feels like writing rules. I'll come back and I'll be like, what did I mean? And then I'll rewrite it. Initially looking at 0.5% below the lowest point of recent support. If momentum entry used low of the previous Heikin-Ashi candle, that's where I'm putting stop losses. That's pretty formulaic, right? Entry exits, when to get out. With a portion of the trade, I'm looking to exit an initial easier to reach target, then push more to a higher level. That's my objective. Trade management. I'm going to tighten stop as I approach my initial target, then move to a trailing stop as it moves to a primary target. Trail stop will tighten the closer I get to the target. This, right? So you're putting words to what you're trying to do with your action. Words to action. Tactics. In a bull market, I'm only going to sell a quarter to a third of my trade at the initial position and hold the rest. In a neutral market, I'll sell half and take profits more quickly, right? So I'm trying to, this is the execution of this system. What am I doing? How am I doing it? What am I thinking about for exits? Yada, yada. I need one of those for each set of rules. And the reason I name it is because when I come in here and I come into system name, I have breakouts and bounces, and I might have Bollinger Bands blah blahs, or I might have, three strikeout, I don't know, whatever systems people come up with. They come up with a lot of them. And you might have a system for advisories that you use. Okay, that's it. That's what we're working on this week. Risk management, you've gone too far. I would say try to get at least one full system defined this week. One full system. Our bread and butter is finding a trend and right? Our core philosophy, find a bull market, buy the dips. That means bounce trades. Sometimes it's hard to catch bounce trades. So we might take momentum trades. I don't typically look for breakout trades. A momentum trade means I might have missed the initial signal, but now I've got that first momentum Heikin Ashi candle, right? That first momentum Heikin Ashi candle. Okay, questions, comments, concerns. You have 1 minute. I told you I'd take 5 extra. How's everybody feeling? And then follow-up question. Is that how you wanted to feel? If not, figure out why not. We should feel, is there a little bit of like, hey, I'd like to be trading more? Sure we would, right? But am I going to force trades? No. I'm mostly bounce. Yes. Mostly bounce followed by continuation. Yes. We'll be away with limited time for the computer. Hopefully doing something good, Bob. Hopefully super enjoyable. And we'll look forward to seeing you back next Sunday. Yes. Sandy, bringing in the Godfather of Soul. Love it. Thanks, everybody. It's good to see you. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow morning, as always. Happy trading.